Well, let's jump right into your podcast, Simplexity. I'm a
Yes.
huge fan. I just listened
Oh,
to the
thanks.
most recent episode, Healing Your Inner Child, and it was
Yes.
so moving. So I love the
Mm.
intention and the way that you approach your subject. So I want to ask, you talk about your podcast being a way to simplify the complexities of life and add a little curiosity and contemplation to meaningful, sometimes difficult conversations. So
Yes.
how did this podcast come to life and what drew you to reach people on that platform?
Sure. So, a few things. There's always been this intellectual side that I haven't brought forward in my work. I've worked with Disney and a lot of large companies, but you often get pigeonholed for the roles you play, right? So, there's more to all of us that people don't get to see. So, the podcast offers this opportunity to have long form conversations with experts from across sectors, across disciplines, across generations. And they do simplify what they do for a living for us. So, we don't have to be the NASA rocket scientists, but we can still understand how plasma waves helped solve a traffic pattern in this country. And by the end, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. I can walk into a room and hold my own in a conversation, even if I didn't know anything, 30 minutes ago about it. And for me, I think I've always had that spark, that curiosity, that eagerness to learn. But when I look at just society and the conversations that we need to have right now, everything has to take place in this middle ground. We are not speaking to each other, we're not hearing each other. And so the concept is to seek to understand before expecting to be understood. And in so doing, it's bridged this gap where I have folks from everywhere listening and tuning in, and they probably would have never had a conversation with each other except for this conversation has brought us together to be able to learn and kind of close that polarity that we're seeing everywhere.
Absolutely. And I was listening to a few episodes, and it really seems like you take time to research and put
I
intention
do.
to every topic you touch on, from financial
Yes.
literacy, which I was like, check, need this, to
Right?
healing your inner child, to
Yes.
also finding your inner voice. I love that you interviewed India Carney, one of my favorite vocalists.
Isn't she
I
amazing?
love her. She's
Shout out,
fantastic.
check out
Make sure you
India
listen to
Carney.
the episode. India Carney is fantastic.
Yes.
But I love that it seemed like you make sure that there's intention. So how do you think about the
Absolutely.
topics you talk about and the people that you want to reach out to make sure
Sure.
those topics come to life?
Yes, anything that intrigues me or feels like it needs to be debunked, I add it to a list. I have about 50 to 75 topics waiting to be researched right now. We have a Singaporean historian coming on soon. We had a Senegalese technologist who teaches women and girls how to code across the continent of Africa to empower them as well as shift how we perceive Africa and what it offers to the global economy and whatnot. And so there are so many things to learn. There's amazing things happening on the planet, and so many humans are involved in things that I would have never thought of. So what I do is I do my deep dive, and I write every episode myself. We have the intro monologue that welcomes people into the theme, and then we talk with the expert. But at the end, my favorite part is we take the top takeaways and we reformat them into affirmations. So every listener can immediately apply what we just learned instead of listening but not internalizing, right? Because we can hear all day long, but if we don't comprehend and apply it, then we're wasting time. So I'm all about action. So I want that transformation. I want this to be a self-development tool as well as something that sparks your own curiosity.